Hello teacher, my name is Yulun, and today I want to tell you about the worst day of my life. It happened at the end of the semester when my math results were announced. Math has always been a difficult subject for me, but I still studied hard and hoped I could get a decent score. When I saw my result, I was completely shocked. My score was much lower than I expected. At that moment, I felt like it was the worst day of my life. I felt really disappointed and embarrassed because many of my classmates did much better than me. After school, I went home quietly. I didn't tell any of my friends about my score because I felt ashamed. When I got home, I went straight to my room and cried a lot. I was also scared to tell my parents because I thought they would be angry or disappointed. Later that evening, my mom noticed that something was wrong. She asked me what happened. At first, I didn't want to say anything, but finally, I told her the truth about my math score. Surprisingly, she didn't get angry at all. Instead, she comforted me and said that it was okay to make mistakes. She told me that one bad score doesn't define who I am and encouraged me to try harder next time. After talking to my mom, I felt much better, even though that day was really terrible for me. It also reminded me that my family will always support me. Thank you for listening.
Hello teachers, my name is Ngọc Đan and today I would like to tell you a story about the worst day of my life. I still remember that day like it just happened yesterday. It was Monday morning and honestly that already felt like a bad sign. I woke up late because my alarm didn't go off. When I opened my eyes, I realized I only had 10 minutes to get ready for school. I rushed out of bed, grabbed the first clothes I could find, and ran out of the house without even having breakfast. On the way to school, things got even worse. My bike suddenly had a flat tire, and I was completely stressed out. There was no time to visit, so I had to run all the way to school. By the time I arrived, I was sweaty, tired, and totally out of breath. But that wasn't the end. But that wasn't the end. I work When I walked into the classroom, my teacher looked at me seriously and said, "You late again." I felt so embarrassed because everyone was staring at me. Then she asked me to submit my homework, and guess what? I have forgotten it at home. At that moment, I just wanted to disappear. I thought things could get worse, but they did. We had a surprise test that day, and I hadn't prepared at all, so I struggled with almost every question. My mind went completely blank, and I knew I had probably failed. After school, I was already exhausted and upset. But when I got home, my mom told me that I had to have I had to have clean the house and because we were having guests that evening, I didn't even have time to rest. By the end of the day, I felt completely drained, physically and mentally. I lay in bed thinking, why did everything go wrong today? But looking back now, I realized something important. Bad days happen to everyone. What matters is how we deal with them and move on. That was the worst day of my life, but it's also taught me to be more prepared and stay positive. Thank you for listening.
Hello teacher, I'm Han. So today I'm going to tell you about one of the worst days of my life. It happened during my first part-time job and I still remember it very clearly. At first, it was my first week working in a small shop and everything was new to me. And so I felt very nervous but also excited. I really wanted to do well and make a good impression on my manager. So at first everything was okay. I greeted customer, arranged products, and tried to follow the manager instruction carefully. However, when the shop became very busy, I started to feel stressed and confused. Then I made a big mistake. I gave the wrong change to a customer without realizing it. So, uh, a few minutes later, my manager called me and asked about the money. When we checked again, we found out that I had given too much change. At the moment, I felt extremely scared. My face turned red, and I didn't know what to say. I just kept apologizing again and again. Even though my manager didn't shout at me, I could tell that they were not happy. That made me feel even worse. After that, I couldn't focus on my work anymore. I kept thinking about my mistake and worrying that I would do something wrong again. So the rest of the day felt very long and stressful. Every time a customer came, I felt nervous. My hands were shaking and I kept double checking everything. When I finally did my shift, I felt completely exhausted, both mentally and physically. On my way home, I kept thinking, this is the worst day of my life. However, that experience taught me an important lesson. I learned that making mistakes is part of learning, and I need to stay calm and be more careful at work. So that's all my history. Thank you for listening.
Hello teacher, my name is Svet, my number is 26. Today I will tell you the worst day of my life. So the day started with a disaster. I woke up late and because my alarm didn't go off, I didn't have any breakfast. So I grabbed my bag and ran out as fast as I could. Suddenly, the sky turned dark, and it started to rain heavily. I didn't have an umbrella, so my hair and my clothes got soaking wet in just 1 minute. Then a big bus drove past me and splashed a giant wave of muddy water all over my favorite shoes. I was cold, dirty, and very angry. When I finally reached my classroom, every student looked at me. Uh, my wet sneakers made a loud squeak on the floor. Uh, I sat down and tried to write my lesson, but my pen had no ink. I felt very impressed as I had to ask the teacher for a new pen. The rest of the day was total disaster. I was tired, hungry, and my clothes were still damp from the rain. But when I finally walked through the front door at home, I smelled something wonderful from the kitchen. My mother was cooking the dinner, so I realized that even though the day was terrible, I was finally safe and warm at home.
Okay. Uh, have you ever had one or two days where you feel like the entire outside is literally plotting against you? Well, I just had one. It was so bad. It was as if I were a movie. The audience would think the writer was trying to have. It all started when my alarm didn't go off. I woke up 30 minutes late for the most important meeting of the month. In my rush, I spilled a cup of boiling hot coffee all over my only clean white shirt. But that was just the beginning. As I ran out the door, I realized my bike had a flat tire. I was standing there, looking at my bike, looking at the sky, and just thinking, are you kidding me right now? Um, I ended up taking a bus halfway there. I reached into my pocket and my heart literally stopped. My wallet was gone. I must have dropped it somewhere in the panic. No cash, no ID, and no backup whole case. By the time I reached the office, less a shocking rush from a stolen dress. My boss just shook his head. I spent the rest of the day sitting at my desk, feeling like a complete failure, wondering what I didn't do deserve this. But you know that at the end of Saturday, I stranger at the bus stop saw me looking miserable and offered me a t-shirt and a small candy. It sounds simple, but it reminded me that the birthday and Tuesday is only 24 hours. Uh, if you have if you are having a rough time right now, just remember you have survived 100% of your day so far. You will get through this on too. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nguyễn Phước Thiện and today I would like to talk about the worst day of my life. It was a day when everything went wrong and I felt stressed from the morning until the evening. It happened about a year ago. On an important school day, I had a big exam in the morning, so I tried to prepare carefully. I reviewed my lesson and went to bed early because I wanted to wake up on time and feel ready. However, things did not go as planned. My alarm didn't ring, so I woke up much later than usual. When I checked the time, I was really shocked and nervous. I quickly got dressed and rushed out of the house without eating breakfast. At that moment, I just hoped I could arrive at school on time. Unfortunately, on the way to school, it suddenly started raining very heavily. I didn't bring an umbrella, so I got completely wet. I felt cold, uncomfortable, and even more worried because I knew I might be late. When I finally arrived at school, I was late. The teacher allowed me to take the exam, but I had less time than other students because I was stressed and tired. I couldn't concentrate well. I made several mistakes that I normally wouldn't make. After the exam, I thought the worst part was over, but things didn't improve. I realized that I had forgotten my wallet at home, so I couldn't buy lunch or anything to eat. I had to stay hungry and tired for the rest of the day, which made me feel even worse. When I got home, I was completely exhausted, both physically and mentally. It was truly a terrible day for me. However, I learned an important lesson from that experience. Now I always double check my alarm and prepare everything carefully. Even though it was the worst day of my life, it helped me become more careful and responsible. Thank you for listening.